Now let's get into some of this real-time contact problem. Now in this particular slide I just put some of these pictures, like a frontal crash of the passenger car where the load transfer from rigid barrier to the car between the components are through contact, or take an example of a transmission element like a spur gear where the torque from one shaft is getting transferred to other and the load transfer between the gear is again through contact. Or you take another example of a transmission element like as a pulley and belt where again load transfer is again through contact. Or now you take a example of a extrusion line where a thin sheet steel sheet we give a profile shape using a rigid applicator, and this load is from rigid applicator going through this thin steel sheet is again through contact. Or take a buckling of a cylindrical structure with when it get a catastrophically buckle, at the end of the catastrophic buckle there is a self contact within a body also. Or you take a sheet metal forming process where load of punch is getting transferred into sheet metal using a contact. Or you take an example of cam and follower. Or you take an simple example like a table and chair. So if we sit on a chair, our body weight is getting transferred to a chair base, and from chair base it is going through chair legs, it is getting transferred to floor. Or you take a table, you keep whatever on the table, that body weight is getting transferred to table, and through table it is going through a floor. So now you start imagining where are this contact involved. The contact is involved everywhere in day-to-day life. Whenever the force is getting transferred from one body to another body, it is getting transferred through contact. Now once I talk that everywhere the contact is involved, so really we have to model contact everywhere and make our life miserable? No. Now let's see the other example. Lot of this contact issue, like 70 to 80% contact problem, you can solve it using appropriate boundary condition without changing the physics of the problem. Now let's take a very simple example. Now take a 3-point flexural test. So you have two support pin and then you have a loading pin. So the two places you have support, and in the middle we have a loading pin. So you can model this problem at the support putting a proper boundary condition, and this load which is getting a line load you can represent using a line load, and you can, without changing the physics of the problem, you can still solve this problem and get a more accurate answer. Or something like you see this tower crane, you can build the truss structure and still you can apply a concentrated or a distributed load, and you can still solve this problem and get a meaningful answer. Similarly you can do for a load floor also. You can model a load floor, wherever this wheel is getting contact with a load floor, you can apply a proper distributed force on that particular area, and still you can, without changing the physics of problem, you can get a right answer. So 70 to 80% of day-to-day mechanical problem, wherever contacts are involved, you can really use a proper boundary condition and you can simplify those problems. Now whenever people talk about a contact analysis, you see a lot of time this term, it is highly nonlinear problem and contact. So now let's get into this, where this nonlinearity is coming in the contact. So whenever you talk in a simulation software wise or simulation theory wise, a lot of finite element theory wise, there are three types of nonlinearity involved in finite element analysis. One is a geometrical nonlinearity, other is a material nonlinearity, and the third is a contact nonlinearity. Now contact nonlinearity also called as a boundary condition nonlinearity. So we'll get to a contact nonlinearity and boundary condition nonlinearity later. Let's briefly touch base with what is a geometrical and material nonlinearity. So geometrical nonlinearity is very specific with a large deformation or large rotation problem, where stiffness matrix is changing with a deformation. So that particular nonlinearity is called as a geometrical nonlinearity. Material nonlinearity again divided in three parts in broad level. One is very specific to a metal metal material, where we have a clear cut elastic limit, and after the elastic limit your stress is not proportional to strain, so it is more like a non-linear behavior. So that is one type of non-linearity beyond elastic limit which you seen in the metal. Now something like a non-metal or polymers or your rubber, within elastic limit also there is a non-linearity, so you can see that type of non-linearity in a polymer material. And the third type of non-linearity is a creep, which is again a progressive deformation of material at a constant state. So long time process is called as a creep, where you have constant load for a long time, and the deformation is because of this long term stresses is called as a creep, which is a one type of material non-linearity. Now getting into a contact. Now contact is also called as a boundary condition non-linearity. Now you take a simple example. If you have say two spheres, if they are not in contact with each other, the stiffness is overall stiffness of this overall system is different. If they are in contact with each other, the stiffness is different. So your stiffness matrix is changing with a boundary condition. So as a boundary condition is changing, your stiffness matrix is changing. So people also called it as a boundary condition nonlinearity, and this become very highly nonlinear problem, because as a contact status is changing, your contact stiffness is also the overall stiffness of the body is changing. Now take an example of a cam and follower. So as the follower is follower is tracing the cam profile, as the contact status is changing from point to point, the overall stiffness matrix is changing. So this is also called as a boundary condition nonlinearity. Now gets into more of the feel of these contact forces. Whenever you talk about a contact analysis or contact mechanics, going forward you will always heard two terms. One is a normal contact force and one is a frictional force. So these are the two terms mostly used in a contact mechanics. Now try to get a feel of these forces. Suppose you sit on a chair. So the force which is perpendicular to chair, wherever the contact area, the chair pushes the person, so that particular force is a normal contact force. And whenever you walk on a ground, so whatever friction, because of friction, whatever body push forward, the ground pushes the shoe, that is a frictional force. So you'll get a feel of what is a frictional force and what is a normal contact force. Now get into more of this contact mechanics. So now we'll just slowly build on a contact mechanics. Now contact generally occur between a two surface. So these two surface can be between a two bodies or the two surface of the same body. So like what we have seen in earlier slide, like a catastrophical buckling of a cylindrical chair, where there is a same body but two surface getting in contact. So whenever two bodies are in contact, they generate two distinct forces. The one kind of forces that prevent the surface from penetrating to each other, that is what is called as a contact normal force. The other kind of force is a frictional, and it resists the relative motion between the surface in the area of contact, that is called as a frictional forces. So whenever two bodies are in contact, one force that will try to prevent the penetration of surface, that is called as a normal force, and the other force which resists the relative motion between the surface, which is called as a frictional force. Now before getting into much detail of contact mechanics, let's try to understand some of this basic terminology in the contact mechanics. Now contact is actually a two body meets are in structural interaction. So there is a structural interaction between the two body, and the contact normal force is always positive and it is perpendicular to contact area. Release, whenever two bodies are not in contact and there is no more structural interaction, the contact normal force is zero. So there is no contact force when the two bodies are not in contact. Contact force, the force normal to contact area acting between the contacting body, that is called as a contact normal force. If you take this force and divide it by a contact area, you will get a contact pressure. So a lot of people, when you do analysis, they'll ask what is the contact pressure between the two contacting body. So this is nothing but your contact normal force and the contact area. If you divide a contact normal force divided by a contact area, you get a contact pressure. Now friction is force transfer to a contact closing direction opposes the sliding tendency. So contact parameter friction, people are using this friction parameter which is from 0 to 1. 0 is a frictionless surface and 1 is a sticky surface. So there is no if I give a coefficient of friction as a 1, it is a sticky condition, there is no relative movement, and 0 is a frictionless surface. Now what I say, sticky condition, no relative transfer movement, that is called as a sticky condition. And then now sticky condition, whenever I say sticky condition, no relative transfer movement, and this is due to often due to friction. Slipping is again sliding along a contact surface, overpowering the sticking frictional force. So these are the some of this basic terminology you will see people talks, and going forward if you go through a lot of literature or you solve this contact problem, these are the common terminology people are using. Now let's get into a term often people called is a contact stiffness, and really why I need to know about this. Now this is very important topic is a contact stiffness. Whenever you see a people talks about a contact problem, they will talk about a contact stiffness. Now this contact stiffness, along with contact stiffness, you will heard a lot of this word like a penalty method, Lagrangian method. So before going into this detail of penalty and Lagrangian method, try to understand how this contact stiffness work in nutshell. So for example, when two bodies are in contact with each other, most of the simulation software, they'll add a spring between these two contacting body. Now for these two contacting body, you want to define the spring between these two body, you have to give a contact stiffness to the spring. So something like a contact stiffness into penetration is equal to your contact force. So this is a nutshell level terminology used for a contact stiffness. So your contact stiffness into penetration is equal to contact force. Ideally we want to have a zero penetration. That means if I have to have this term 0, that means my contact stiffness should be infinity. So if my penetration tends to 0, my contact stiffness become infinity. But if you have a contact stiffness infinity, then numerically wise, no solver can solve this problem. So most of the solver whatever available in market, they allowed some level of penetration. It is not 0, they allowed some individual level of penetration, so that way they can get solve this problem numerically, and they can get an appropriate contact survey. For Abaqus case, it the penetration allowed is a 1 e power minus 6 unit, whatever unit you use, millimeter or meter, etc. Now how to get this contact stiffness? Now it is very important how to get this contact stiffness. Now if you put a spring, contact spring, and you start increasing the contact stiffness, as you increase the contact stiffness, contact forces also increase with the contact stiffness, and then one particular point there is if you change the contact stiffness, there is no much change in a contact force. So that is your ideal contact stiffness for your two bodies in contact. Now how to calculate that contact stiffness? Now whoever are Abaqus user, they don't have to worry about the contact stiffness. Abaqus solver take care of this contact stiffness using this iterative process for different contact stiffness and the contact force using a Lagrangian multiplier. They call it as a Lagrangian multiplier. So they do this iterative process and they find out what is the optimum contact stiffness, and that optimum contact stiffness they use for two bodies in contact. But if you are not using Abaqus, some other software like ANSYS or any other software, then sometime ANSYS and other software, some software they use a penalty method, and when we talk about penalty method, then you have to manually put this contact stiffness. So in that case you have to start with some contact stiffness between two contacting bodies. Suppose the both contacting body is steel, then you start with a steel modulus, and then you from 1e, 2e, 3e, you start increasing the contact stiffness, and then once you plot a contact force and one particular point you see there is no change in a, even though you change the contact stiffness, there is no change in a contact force, and that is the optimum contact stiffness for you. And you see, since there is no much change in a contact force, so there is no change in a contact stresses also. So now this is in nutshell what we told. So this is, now you have to understand this equation is a contact stiffness into penetration is equal to contact force, and then we allowed some level of penetration, and then how to get a optimum contact stiffness. Now with this information, now let's try and then decode this fancy equation. Now whenever you go and see in literature survey and you get all these terms like K into zeta into U into force, and most of the time we get scared how this equation are coming. Now we understand how the contact stiffness is calculated. Now just decode this equation. So there is a sphere and there is a flat plate. So body 1 is a sphere and body 2 is a flat plate, and there is a force transfer from the sphere to a flat body. So based on whatever penetration, whatever G penetration of body 1 into body 2, the solver will add a spring. Now this spring stiffness is calculated, spring into the stiffness into penetration is equal to force. Since I mentioned in last slide it should be 0, but for 0 it will become the stiffness become infinity and you cannot solve it. So it will allow some level of penetration, acceptable level of penetration, and based on that it will calculate what is the contact stiffness. That contact stiffness you can add with your overall stiffness, which is a geometrical and material stiffness, and you can start solve the overall finite element equation. Now as the contact status is changing from a point contact to line, your contact stiffness also goes on increasing, so that change the overall contact stiffness. So this most of the people call the contact problem as a highly nonlinear problem. So that is what is what I mentioned is a condition of stiffness matrix crucial depend on the contact stiffness itself, and contact stiffness changes with a change in the contact status. From no contact to contact or multiple contact, your contact stiffness will be changed, and then based on as the contact stiffness is changing, overall stiffness of the structure is changing. Now let's get into more of a abacus point of view. Now before going into detail about what different keyword in abacus is used, let's just try to understand how the abacus is using philosophy. So here a simple example which I just took from abacus manual to explain here. So you have a slave surface and then you have a master surface, and on the slave surface we have some nodes like A, B, C. So each of slave node, abacus attempt to find the closest point on a master surface. So for example for A, it will try to find this what is the closest point for A. So it find a closest point on a master segment. From that point, from the master surface, normal passes through the slave node. So the normal from this master surface which is passing through slave node, and this particular point on a master surface is closer to node. Now the interaction is then discretized between the point on the master surface and the slave node. So then the interaction is discretized between the point which is on the master surface to point A. Now abacus contact, the keyword they are using is a star contact pair. So once you define a star contact pair, abacus understand there is the contact in a problem, and then you want to have a slave surface and a master surface. So along with contact pair you want to define a surface which is a slave and the master surface. So based on this keyword, then it will understand there is the contact between or there is an interaction between the two bodies in a mechanical simulation. Now for contact simulation, you don't have to have a same mesh, similar mesh. Node to node matching of mesh is not required. You can have a different slave mesh and different master surface. One important point here I want to make is in abacus you cannot really form a contact between a two rigid body. So there is no with abacus standard you cannot form a contact between a two rigid surface. Now let's try to, in abacus there are a lot of algorithms, node to surface contact, surface to surface contact, finite sliding, then infinite sliding or small sliding, and different parameter. So we'll slowly built on these what are different algorithm are used. So let's start with a very simple node to surface contact and surface to surface contact. Now in Abaqus, node to surface contact is a one-way contact. One-way contact means the penetration of slave node is checked on the master surface, and the penetration of master node on a slave surface is not checked. So if this node penetrate to a slave surface, solver will not bother at all if it is a node to surface contact. It is only checking a slave node penetration on the master segment. So this is a one-way contact. Now let's reverse the condition. Suppose this fine mesh spheres, you make it as a master and the coarse mesh as a make a slave. So since this fine mesh sphere is a master, its node penetration is not checked on a slave node. So you can see same problem. Once you reverse a slave and master condition, you see a penetration, because it is a one-way contact. Now you see a surface to surface contact. Now surface to surface contact in Abaqus is a two-way contact. Two-way contact means slave node penetration is checked on the master segment and master node penetration is checked on a slave segment. So now first case you have coarse master and the fine slave, and then it is a both-way contact, and you see there is no issue in terms of penetration. Even after swapping, you make a fine mesh as a master and the coarse mesh as a slave, there is no issue because it is a two-way contact. Now it for a master node also it will check a penetration on a slave segment. So there is no change in a you see there is no penetration. But if you see a node to surface, if you swap the slave and master condition, you see a penetration because it is a one-way contact, and surface to surface contact is a two-way contact. Now as you see, by changing a slave and master in node to surface, you see penetration. Now if somebody has to select a master and slave selection in Abaqus, what particular guideline or thumb rule people has to use? Now number one thumb rule is, if you have a deformable body and a rigid deformable body in a contact with a rigid body, so deformable body will become a slave surface and rigid body will become a master surface. Suppose you have a node based surface and the element based surface. So node based surface will always be a slave and the element based surface will be always a master. Now let us understand a condition. If both surface is deformable, if both are deformable, say for example both are steel, so how you are going to decide which one will be master and slave? So if both the element, say both are the steel plate or steel cylinder of 5 mm, so the coarser mesh will become a master and the finer mesh will become a slave. Now take another example. If you have something like a 1 mm steel sheet and 200 by 200 mm polymer plastic block, so which one is stiffer? So in this case the stiffer is actually a polymer block. So if you have to have two dissimilar material, don't only check their modulus but check overall stiffness, like a material stiffness and geometrical stiffness. So in this case this polymer block having a higher stiffness than a steel thin plate, in this case you should assign a stiffer body as a master. So in this type of case you put this block as a master and the steel as a slave. Now let's get into Abaqus keyword wise. So as I mentioned earlier, you have star contact pair, comma interaction is equal to friction. So this is mainly a frictional property. You have to give a frictional property, how this friction is whether it is a frictionless surface or it is sticking surface or it is in between the frictionless surface to a sticking condition. So based on your friction value or frictional coefficient of friction, solver is going to calculate what's the frictional force. So that is a sliding force which is acting between the two contact body perpendicular to normal force. Then you want to have a slave surface and then master surface. So you define a slave surface, and then you define a master surface. So overall the keyword will looks like a star, contact pair, comma, interaction is equal to friction, slave surface and master surface. And then you can have a slave surface element base or node base, and then master surface is element base. So now once we build slowly on this contact understanding, let's try some hands-on and get a feel in terms of abacus, how abacus is solving this contact problem, how to define a contact problem, what different parameters involves in a contact simulation, and then how to interpret results. So let's get into some of this hands-on.